Good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Busy this morning.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's every morning, isn't it?
Pretty much is. Okay, so this is season 2 of my budgeting lives, where we are doing urban homesteading, an introduction. And today is episode 3, where we are doing how do I start urban homesteading, working out our priorities. So we have Mr. Tony here, or Mr. Bojangles from Kettle Kitchen.
Sorry, little humor for the start of the day.
It's all good. And we're going to be discussing, because I wanted to have it as a discussion, because everybody's priorities are very different when it comes to starting out on the road to self-sufficiency or urban homesteading, or whatever you want to call it. And I thought it'd be interesting to see different points of view, you know?
Yes, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Not for nothing.
Hello, Ginger. And hello, Miss Andale. How are you, my darling? It's good to see you.
I keep forgetting when you're in these as a guest, not a host, you don't have typing capabilities.
Oh, do you not?
You don't.
Oh, no. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay. So I thought we would start off with motivation.
Okay.
So finding out what your motivation is probably one of the top priorities, I would think. What's your motivation for doing this? What's the motivation for going on this journey of self-sufficiency, urban homesteading, that kind of thing, and starting to figure things out from there, because it can be really overwhelming when you've got all this information coming at you and you just, where do I start? So, yeah.
Ginger, that's funny.
Hi, Miller Life Home Kitchen. How are you? Welcome in.
I think, at least from my perspective, what I've noticed is you are correct. I think motivation is the key priority, but I think you have to have a desire to do it.
Yeah.
To initiate it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely. But that kind of, for me, I have to have that motivation before I have the desire, because,
okay,
there has to be a reason that I need to have the desire to do it.
Got it.
So for me, being the way that my brain works, because it's, a smidge different to a lot of other people.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I have to look at motivation before desire, rather than desire and then motivation.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like going for a walk. Yes, I know I have to go for a walk, but is there a reason for me to do it? What's my motivation?
And that makes sense. When you explain it that way, then it does make sense. So
yeah,
I already knew it beforehand, but I think people will understand it better that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So your motivation could be anything from your monetary situation. It could be a health situation. It could just be a want to live a simpler, slower, better, more traditional life, I guess. It could be any of those things. Yeah.
Non-reliance on grocery stores or
yes.
other food sources or chains that we rely on right now. You might want to break away from that.
Absolutely. There could be all kinds of reasons for why you want to do this. And it may only be that you want to do one or two things towards that. It may not be that you want to go boots and all. You might just want to do, well, I want to be able to cook my own meals and I want to be able to grow some of my own food and that kind of thing. Or it might just be, I'm sick of throwing out bags and bags of stuff all the time. Why am I throwing out all this stuff when I could be, you
Right,
know, buying cloths and reusing them and washing them rather than, chucking out
right.
all of the stuff.
Another one I hear a lot is medical reasons. They need to know
Yes.
what's in their food or what they're ingesting or how they're preparing or something, and this
Yes.
gives them the opportunity to do that better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there are so many allergies and intolerances to different foods out there right now that it's become really important for people to know exactly what's in their food and to worry about that. And there's a lot of things that labeling laws, no matter what country you're in, aren't required to put,
Right.
so you might be in a situation like that, like me.
I think you're spot on though. I mean, regardless of the desire, your motivation has to be key because the motivation is what's going to continue to drive. It's going to bring up the various different thought processes associated with it and the like.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so once you've figured out what your motivation might be, then there's a few maybe other things priority wise that you might want to be looking at. And one of those would be your budget. Just what exactly can you afford to do? If you want to go boots and all in, it can be really expensive.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
It is really expensive. If you go boots and all in, it is very, very expensive. And if one of your motivations is to try and cut down on costs, it's probably not the best way to go.
Well, and I think the other thing that goes along with this, and it's all going to tie in together at some point in time, the
Yeah.
size of using terms loosely here, the size of the operation
Yeah.
really are going to determine your cost, how big is your motivation? Am I just give me a little square or give me the whole farm? I mean,
Yeah.
all those things are going to tie in together, but the budget is probably determined really primarily by what you can do and how much space you have or will have. So,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Or whether you have to start incredibly small,
right, right,
you
right.
know, like,
Like me.
you know, yes. And like me, it's taken, like I've said to you before, it's taken me 4 years to build my pantry. you
Mine's
know
an ongoing process.
and it is still an ongoing process.
Yeah,
I won't say it's not, but it's now at a usable point where I can start rotating things
yep.
because I have got that base pantry built, but yes, there is more stuff that I want to put in there.
I'll
So
give you that. Yeah.
yeah, so but yeah, 4 years to do that.
Ours took, I think ours took 2 years to get to a point where we were using it
Yeah.
knowledgeably,
Mm.
but I still got holes I need to fill. I think the thing that people misunderstand is they think it's kind of like, and I'm not saying everybody's like this. I'm just saying
Mm.
I get this gist that they think you get a pantry put together and then you walk away from it. And
Yeah.
then you come back next year and okay, what have I used? I guess I'll refill it. Well, it doesn't work that way. If you're
No.
using it the right way, it's got to be a continual thing. And over the holidays, we massacred our pantry. That's the honesty of it. Now we're rebuilding it back up because we need to. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we had some comments. Once I tasted tasted food from my own garden, that motivated me to grow more. Absolutely.
yeah.
I've always said that tomatoes from the shop taste like they've had the soul sucked out of them. They do.
I never thought of it that way, but I like it.
They do. They taste like their soul got sucked out. That's really just like the bottom line for me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not just tomatoes either. That's quite a few different things. Yeah. Hi, Devin. How are you? Welcome in. Devin, sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Just saying hi to Devin from our new land and to Annette at Annie's Kitchen and Urban Homesteads. Hurrah, my darlings.
What I was going to say is I hear people all the time. I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember where it was I seen it, but this person says, "Oh, I love canned mushrooms. I won't use anything else," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Borp.
I'm like, I get when you're in a pinch, okay?
Yeah.
But using them over fresh, I don't get it.
But see, that's another thing. It's about taste, isn't it? And what works for you as well. Whereas I would prefer to either pack mine in oil, as I have done, right, pickled and then packed in oil, or dehydrate them rather than have them canned per se,
right,
unless it's straw mushrooms, which are an Asian variety of mushroom.
Oh, okay.
Which they come in tins. So yeah.
It's just the way it happens.
It's just the way it is. And unless I can find a way to grow my own, I'm kind of stuck with those, you know. But yeah.
I like, sorry, I'm not trying to jump ahead.
That's
I
right.
like what Devin said in there, because I think that's what a lot of people have a tendency to do. You want to, it's not, I didn't mean to sound flippant when I said it. It's not that people go in and build a pantry and intentionally just leave it there, but you don't want to use it. It's, what if something happens, then I've used it and now I can't get to the store kind of thought process. But
absolutely,
like we said, now there's a good rotation. And if you're in a good rotation, it'll keep you stocked. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we have Janet Homestead where you are. Welcome in, darling. I have the itch. I ordered seeds and have been garden planting. My pantry is always evolving and revolving. Yes.
I like Janet's when she goes out and does her weekly grocery haul. And I'm not normally a grocery haul person. I just find it irritating, to be honest with you. But I like the way she does it. And it's simple. It's not overwhelming. It's not $10,000 worth of groceries that you're never going to use, you know. So I like watching.
I look at a lot of those grocery hauls and think, what?
I'm like, you just spent a year's salary for people I know on groceries, really?
Yeah, absolutely. My hubby used to get acid reflux from shop bought tomatoes, but has no issues with our homegrown tomatoes.
Yep.
Yeah, see, Bam, my son that you guys see in videos from time to time, he has a major issue with raw tomatoes. He doesn't like them. He hates them. But when they're growing in the garden, can I just say I have a tomato monster that comes over here. I'm more likely to see him 3 or 4 times a week because he'll be in the greenhouse popping cherries.
Yeah.
You know?
You can't do tomatoes at all unless you cook them, correct? Yeah.
Yes, rotation is definitely key. Hi, Miller Life Kitchen. Welcome. I'm probably already said that, but I'm just checking.
Patty can't have tomatoes unless they're cooked down. They have to be cooked down. And that doesn't matter on fresh or canned or anything, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. You know, I mean, different people have different things that, you know.
Now, I'll sit there and eat a tomato like an apple, and it don't bother me one bit.
Oh, yeah. Me too. Especially if it's straight from the garden. Oh. It's like angels start singing when you get that first tomato from the garden. Can I just say that's like, oh.
I think last year, because last year was the first year we really started working on the garden.
Yeah.
And I think once the first time I seen that little green pebble, I think I was probably more, I don't know. I might have been more excited than the first time I canned. I don't know, but it was kind of the similar feeling at least. So.
Yeah, well, I have just purchased 2 little grapevines, and they're like this big at the moment in little pots. And I just looked over at them just before I came in to come on here, and there's a little green shoot appearing on one of the branches, and I'm just like,
I didn't hear what it was. What you had.
it's a grapevine.
Oh, grapevine. Okay,
Just
cool.
a couple of little grapevines. We have a Leanne from Mennonite Farmhouse. Hello, darling. How are you?
Hello.
I can't eat cooked capsicums, bell peppers, but love raw capsicum. Fair enough. Yeah, see, actually, Tanny's the same with that.
Really? I would think it would be the other way around.
No, he's happy to eat them raw in salads. But if you have them in something, he finds them incredibly overpowering so that they take over all of the other flavors and he can't eat them. Okay. So he just stops eating at that point because it's like, no, it's just too much. I can't do it. So, but yeah, he prefers it raw. And that way he can flick it out if he wants to, sort of like ping it,
Right.
Yeah. Capsicum gives me heartburn. Wow, Leanne. Wow. I have heard that though, and it's not really surprising because it is part of the pepper family.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm the opposite. Wow. So Janet, you can have them cooked but not raw. Is that it? Wow, it's a conversation about capsicums all of a sudden.
I was going to say we moved on to a different subject matter.
I know what happened here. My son has a green bell pepper intolerance. How random is that? Red peppers, no problem. Other types of green peppers, no issue.
I find that odd. I'm not picking somebody out as odd, but just that you can have one color and not another of the same thing.
Except that the green ones are actually unripe versions of the yellow and the red ones. Yellow, orange, and red. So they're not quite ripe. So it may be that there's something that hasn't quite developed properly yet to counteract the issue that he might be having with the green, something in the green ones. Yes, cucumbers do acid reflux to some people, but also finding the right variety. I've found a couple of varieties that don't do it as badly to me and they're not quite as burpy. They don't curve quite through much, gas.
So I want to bring back the bell pepper conversation again.
Sorry. Well, we've still got bell peppers going off on chat here.
I did not realize that. I thought
red ones.
I thought green and red and yellow and orange were actually different varieties of peppers. I didn't realize they were transitional of the same plant. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they're transitional of the same plant, which is why if you're collecting seeds, you want to go from like shop bought peppers, you want to get them from the red ones if you can.
Okay. Well, there you go.
It does take forever to get that color. It does indeed.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wow. That took a turn.
I'll shut up about peppers now.
Yeah, so health can definitely.
Look at that.
This is a good one.
He can eat chocolate without the wrapper. I have a chocolate wrapper intolerance myself, so I get it.
Yeah. Welcome in, Daz.
Hello.
My friend makes delicious red pepper soup. Yeah, red pepper soup is one of my favorites. It's awesome.
I thought we were moving away from the pepper conversation.
Yeah. So, yes, budgeting. Your budget.
Yes.
That's what we're actually talking about. So when you're first looking at starting your and Susan Ty, I just wanted to say hi, darling, and welcome in. Yep. When you're first starting your urban homestead, you need to start looking at what your budget is, because that's one of your priorities, because then you can see what you can do and what you can't. Right. I mean, when I first went back to wanting to do this after I'd moved over here to the UK, which was like 13 years ago,
Were you trying to hide how long ago it was?
13 years.
Okay.
Yeah. The first thing I did was buy a set of metal straws. That was the first thing I did. I thought, okay, hang on. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
You can't hear me because I muted myself accidentally. Sorry.
Oh, no.
You did what with metal straws? I didn't hear.
I bought metal straws because I kept buying the plastic ones because sometimes my hands just drop cups. So I tend to have a straw in my cup so that, you know, I didn't run that risk all the time.
Right.
But I decided that I would swap them out and get some metal ones because I'd never seen metal straws before.
Ooh.
I'd never seen them before. That's a totally new thing to me, you know? I mean, I had family members, you know, suggest a sippy cup, and I was like, that's just rude.
If you're going to go to the sippy cup, you might
cup and saying, can I have half a pint of beer in that, please?
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking whiskey and Coke. Can I have it in my sippy cup, please?
It's not happening.
Well, yeah, they'd laugh at you first and you'd probably get kicked out, but that's beside the point.
Exactly. Oh, good grief.
So one thing I did want to, I mean, because you were talking about the budget and whatnot, I think, you know, the other thing is don't let that be, it has to be a dictator of what you're doing, but at the same time, don't let it be a eliminator, meaning it can't be limiting to you.
No.
Because you can do a lot of what we're talking about from a very small one.
Yes.
As well as you can from a big one. So it's just dependent on what you want to do, what you can do, but don't let it stifle the process. Just because I don't have $10,000 doesn't mean you can't go out and spend $10 a week and still eventually get to the same result, you know?
Exactly. So. I mean, like up until about 15 months ago, Tanny and I were living on my disability payment.
Right.
You know, he wasn't working. He was driving me up the wall, which is why I said, go get a job. You're driving me mental. But, you know, but we were doing what we could with what we had. It was about shopping carefully and looking around. A lot of the materials that we got, they were all secondhand recyclable. Like, if you have a look around in summer, people are redoing their decks.
Yep.
Okay, so... And they're giving the wood away because they don't want to ditch it because it costs them tip fees or, you know, getting a skip or something like that. That costs money. So they would rather someone go take the wood,
right?
You know, especially around here. So we just used to go around and fill the car up.
Yep.
And that's how we built our raised beds at the other flat, was using those, you know. So there's ways of doing things that are really, really cheap.
Another tip I would say is try to go to a construction site of a new house being built or an old house being taken down that hopefully doesn't have anything wrong with it, but you might be able to find some resources there as well.
A really good resource from places like that. You don't really want to get the inside wood because it may have lead paint on it or asbestos.
That's what I was thinking when I said you have to be careful about it, but you might be able to get some good resources out of it.
But old tin roofs, old slate tiles, old bricks, they're all things that can be reused and you can make using them. Drywall contains lime for gardens. Yes, it does.
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Yes, it does. That's very clever.
Yep.
Wooden pallets, just make sure they haven't been treated. Yeah.
I seen a seeker step in.
There was a seeker. Hello, seeker. You naughty man. How you doing? Yeah, so there are ways and means of doing it on the cheap. I mean, like, I swore up and down I wasn't going to buy any seeds this year.
Now, was that because you didn't want to spend the money, or you already had seeds?
Well, that's because I have a gazillion and one seeds already.
That's what I was wondering.
And I really don't have the space to grow them all in.
Got it.
But I really need to look at using those first. But there were some varieties of seeds that I hadn't got and things that I do need. Well, I did want to put in the garden this year because we have a little bit of better space.
Mm-hmm.
So I waited. I didn't want to get them all at the same time. And I happen to belong to a garden club of a certain company. And they brought their seeds down to 89p a packet. Yeah.
Where's
See now,
mine?
where's yours?
Yeah.
You want some? You want some? They're still in their box. I like, you know. But there's, you know, it's like fabric. You always need the right color or material. Yeah. So with seeds, it was like, I've got to wait until they come down in price. Now, usually it's the end of the season they come down in price. But it was more about, I found a lot of the varieties they had for 89p was £7.99 packets of seeds.
What?
Yeah. I ended up purchasing nearly £60 worth of seeds. Okay. Because what happens is when you join their club, it's £10 to join the club. They immediately send you £20 worth of vouchers in £5 lots. So you've got
We're going to have to talk about this.
Yeah, right. So I got those all down to, I think it was £16 because I used the £5 voucher on top as well. So it's like,
don't take this personally, but I think
these things, you know,
I think you just swindled them. But that's my opinion.
Hey, they left themselves open for it. You know, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. You know,
fair enough. Yeah,
you know.
I agree.
But yeah, need some cheap free ideas for shade protection over our raised garden beds. Old sheets.
Yes, that's a value. Curtains or sheets or drapes, something of the like.
I would use old sheets rather than drapes because the drapes can have too much dust in them.
You got to throw down everything I throw out there?
No. But I'm just saying, and the sheet material will actually let a bit of light through.
Yes, you are correct.
The curtains possibly might be a little bit too dark, but you could use net curtains.
Yes, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah. Janet, it is Sutton Seeds, actually. I know.
Oh, from a certain company when we're talking to Tony, but when Janet asked, here's the name.
I am not sponsored or affiliated to Sutton Seeds, but I did buy them and I got the best bang for my buck, which I always do, which is what I did when I bought the grapevines and raspberry canes as well. Yeah, take him down, Blue. No, it's all good. It's all good.
That would be Leanne. That's typical.
Yeah. Where's my kangaroo? Sorry, Devon. I just out stopping the dog from barking at kangaroos. They're in the front yard eating my grass. Oh no. Raspberry canes grow wild around here. Well, I'm really hoping that my front yard turns into a big raspberry wild patch, to be honest. Oh no. Yeah. It's a kangaroo.
We went from peppers to kangaroos now.
We've gone from peppers to kangaroos. Stay on target, people.
Yes. Moving on to tip number 3.
Another priority that we need to look at is health. Now, that is both physical and mental. Okay, because if you take too much on, you're going to give yourself burnout. I mean, some people get really, really excited all over the place when they want to take on a new task. And I am so guilty of that because that's what my ADHD brain wants to do. It
I
just
have
wants to
never
go
done that ever. Never.
Well, aren't you just Mr. Neurotypical?
I am anything but atypical.
It would be fantastic, Daz.
Ginger.
Wineberry canes. That would be awesome.
Oh, I'm going to get this
And
there.
Janine's here. Oh, yes. Shade protection idea. Plant loofah and let it vine over. Yes. Yep. Or because of where you are, Annie, chocos. You'll have chocos for days, man. You guys call it something else. Having ADD is not fun when you have deadlines. I know. Guess who's got 4 videos to edit by Monday? I know, right?
You should be taking your own advice, my friend.
I'm doing my best, okay?
Oh, that's funny. I do agree with you, though, because you can't very well sustainably take care of yourself and your family if you're not watching yourself.
And if you are limited physically as well, like some of us are, like me, you do what you can. Yep. You know, I have a rule where I do 1 task a day.
I wish. Oh, sorry.
Excuse me.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
I still did 1 task a day today.
I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at there's no way that would happen here is what I was laughing at. Sorry.
How rude.
I'm sorry. I didn't think of it that way. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, I have a rule where I do 1 task a day to do with the homestead. Now that could be sorting out the backyard and just trying to tidy up a bit, you know, because it's winter and, you know, we get a lot of wind around here and things get blown around all over the place. It might just be doing 1 lot of food. It might be doing a batch meal for the freezer. It might just be making a sauce or something that needs to be done or something like that. It might be repotting a plant. It could be doing anything. It could be doing absolutely anything. It's like could be patching Tanny's pants, you know. So, you know, it's just 1 job a day for me. I mean, if I feel well enough that I can, and I do in the summer, I feel a lot better in the summer, then I can do maybe 2. But I don't like pushing it too far, you know. Talk about distractions. You're muted. You're muted. It's very windy here today. People who eat a lot of veggies do tend to get a lot of wind. Only until they're used to eating them. Still can't hear you, mate.
I'm not saying anything yet.
Oh, well, that would explain why I couldn't hear you.
I was like, I'm not muted, though. That's weird.
Windy here in Pennsylvania today.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
What I was going to say is that we all have a tendency, those even that are not limited, you still have a tendency to, I can do 1 more thing. I can do 1 more thing. I can do 1 more thing. And then sooner or later, that's going to catch up to you and it's going to wipe you out. So even though you can do that occasionally, be careful that you're not doing it all the time. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you keep doing that, you cause yourself burnout.
Right.
As well. Like your body can turn around and just go, nope.
Mm-hmm.
And then like if I overdo it on a particular day, I could be down for the count for the next 10. And that doesn't do me any good. That doesn't get us any further forward. It doesn't get the jobs done. It doesn't get things done. It causes frustration. which then affects your mental health, which then sort of like it's all a cascading effect. So you need to kind of try and find a balance that works for you.
Right.
I'm with you, Annie, on this. I do have back issues. I've had back issues for since 2012. And I have a collapsing spine. So, which is why I used to be 5'6", and when I'm on a bad day, I'm 5'3".
Same thing for me, but I've been dealing with it since 1992.
Ooh, dude!
Yeah.
Ouch!
Yeah.
So yeah, it's trying to figure what did Seeker say? Oh yeah, okay, yep, yes. Okay. Okay, that's cool. So, you know, looking after your health is really, really important. If there's a day where you feel that, you know what, I need to take a day for me, take a day for you. If that means you don't do anything for that day, don't do anything for that day. If you just want to sit with your feet up,
yep.
You know, as long as your plants aren't completely wilting over and dying out there, you know, or, you know, there's nothing that's going to really suffer from you doing nothing for the day. Self-care is really important and something that you really need to take in consideration, especially when you're doing urban farming or urban homesteading, because, you know, most people have a full-time job. They're working, they're running the kids, they're doing all of the things, they're doing a whole heap of other stuff. And, you know, self-sufficiency in an urban environment, you're left with very small amount of time to do the things that you really want to be doing around the house, you know? So, yeah.
What Seeker just said actually leads me to something I did want to say. Sorry if I'm stepping in before you're ready for
cool.
it.
Is that what you were talking about?
Yes, but to a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely.
Whoever, I mean, your neighbor's stopping by and physically is able to, hey, can you help me with this? And don't make it an overbearing thing, and don't make it a constant thing. But if you need help, and you got to be willing to ask. So
yeah, absolutely. I have 2 compressed discs and arthritis in my back. Yeah, it sucks.
Yep.
Wow. Leanne, put a coat on when you go outside to feed the cats, honey. Oh, blimey. Okay. So, yeah, so that's the next thing, is looking after your health, because without your health, you can't do this anyway. So you look after both your mental and your physical health. And they are interchangeable. Having bad mental health can affect you physically, and having bad physical health will affect you mentally. So they are interchangeable. It is health at the end of the day, and you need to look after it, because you only got one of them.
Yep.
You know?
I agree.
So
I would also interject one more thing in there. If you have others that live with you, also watch them, because their downhill issues could become yours. So you need to keep up on them as much as you can or need to, or whatever that might entail. But that's inclusive of that. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. My eyes are watering again for no apparent reason.
It's okay. You don't have to cry over me, Argentina.
Good God. Okay. Yes, and spiritual health as well, because that coincides with mental health as well. So, you know, to me that does. That's a big part for me, is, you know, having that some kind of faith, whatever it is, whatever your beliefs are, they are your own, and how you deal with those are your own. But it is very important for your mental health as well. So yeah, so next we're going to be moving on to abilities. What are your skills and abilities? What do you already have in the bag?
I don't have anything in the bag.
You haven't got anything in the bag?
Does that mean I can't do this if I have nothing in the bag?
Why, are you trying to get out of it? I'm just asking, man. You can go if you want. I mean, you don't want to be here. It's all good.
No, stop. That is not what I was saying.
Yes.
I'm asking a legitimate question. If I don't have any skills in the bag, does that mean I can't do this?
No, absolutely not. Because we all are learning.
Yes.
You could have been doing this for 50 years and you're still going to learn something.
I didn't know how to can at one point.
No, well, exactly. Now look at you, Mr. Beef stock and chicken stock and pork and getting all the things in the jars, looking all pretty. Yes, he can make bread.
Yep.
Yeah. We are definitely all learning. And because the thing is as well, I was a chef for 26 years, but I tell you what, Leanne is teaching me how to make bread. She may not know it.
Leanne's teaching a lot of people how to make bread.
Yes. Because it was always an issue for me. Yeast-based breads were always a major issue for me. I could do sourdough standing on my ear.
Yeah.
In the dark with one hand tied behind my back.
That's one thing I haven't tackled yet.
Sourdough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got to get back on that this year. That's one of the things I want to do. But yeah, looking at what your skills are already, what you're able to do, what whether if you're able to already scratch cook, are you preserving?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not already preserving because you don't have that, then that would be a skill that you want to get. But you've already got the scratch cooking down, so that's already in your bag. If you're able to sew on buttons, that's already something that you've got.
Yep.
If you can use a power tool or a hand tool, that's a skill you've already got. That's halfway towards fixing something or creating something.
It reminds me of when I did Noodle November, and I made the comment then, and why I did it was because I was bound and determined to teach myself a new skill set. And I did.
Yes. And you're doing awesome.
It is about what you just said. If you can sew a button, if you can use a power tool, if you can make bread, if you can pressure can, water bath can, if you can do your charcuterie, those are all things that are skill sets that can be useful moving forward.
Absolutely. So we got have a look. Seeker doesn't have a bag. That's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
But we'll get a bag for you, mate.
Yes.
We have the devil's avocado present, it seems. Probably. Hi, going slowly nowhere. It's good to see you.
That's a new name. I haven't seen that name before. Learn every day. Absolutely. Tony can even pressure can. He can. He absolutely can. You know why? Because I can.
Yeah, he can. How many cans can a Tony can if a Tony could can cans?
Ooh, you're setting a trend. Look at you go.
No, look at her.
That sounds like a new TikTok or Instagram or Reel or short.
That's awesome. Congratulations, honey. That is really good.
Yep.
Bread was my nemesis, not anymore. Thank you, Tony.
I had fun teaching her
supermarket with lychee. Sorry. Ooh. As a treat for tonight, is it worth trying to grow them here in the UK? Yes. You can do them in a greenhouse or a polytunnel with no problems whatsoever.
I'm not in the UK and I knew that.
Sorry?
I'm not from the UK and I knew that actually.
Yeah, they just need to be in a decent sized container and just repot them every year and just maybe either trim down their root system or to fit back in that pot if that's what you want, or put them in a bigger one, give them a bit more room. But yeah, they're good. They'll start producing lychees at about 6-7 years.
Oh, going slowly. That's hilarious. Sorry.
Okay, so sharing information is the best lesson. Even when you think you can't learn anything new, you can. Absolutely. I never had an interest in growing our own food, but since 2020, it's become a highlight in my life. Now working on getting a home-based business off the ground and expanding the veggie garden. Yes.
That's great.
Since Noodle November, the price of eggs has gone through the roof. Is it a coincidence?
Inquiring minds want to know.
Brilliant.
That was funny. I like that.
I really like this. Information is the lightest thing you can carry and the freest thing you can share.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's a t-shirt right there.
That is a t-shirt right there. That is an awesome t-shirt right there. Hello, Mark, over at Little Ridge Farm.
This one I thought was funny.
Waves to the Jangle Dude. I think I have been around when you have been here, but I idle a lot. Bless your heart.
I'm the Jangle Dude.
Yeah, you're the Jangle Dude. Oh, good grief. So, what were we on at that point? That was, we went past health, with abilities. So
we went to abilities. Yep.
Yeah. You may think you don't have any, but you probably have more than you think you do.
Yes. I agree.
But when it comes down to specialty skills and stuff, if you don't know what you're doing, check out any local courses that may be happening. Find out from your friends or any kind of, groups and stuff that you might be in your local area that do that kind of thing, because they'll be more than happy to help you. I can guarantee it. Hello, 9 Acres Farms. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah.
He's supposed to be at work.
Well, that's okay. He probably is.
Probably is sitting at his desk. Yes, you are correct.
Yeah. There are always YouTube videos, but also be very careful with those as well. Make sure that the people that you're watching know what they're talking about, because sometimes it can be a bit dodgy.
I would recommend go watch a couple other videos other than what you're interested in. If you find those to be informative, correct information, then you might be okay.
Yeah.
You just got to do your own research.
Absolutely. Always do your own research when it comes to this kind of thing. But yeah, you've got more abilities than you think you do. And when you're learning to do stuff as well, you need to give yourself a bit of grace. Okay? Even Beethoven had to practice, okay? He
did?
Yeah, he did.
I thought he was born with it.
I've spoken to his mum. Apparently he was really awful. He said it sounded like a dead cat when he first started, So, yeah. So, little Beethoven had to practice, Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So allow yourself not to get it right the first maybe 3 or 4 times, or even 5, sometimes a dozen. It depends.
Yeah, there you go. Right there.
Yep. That's what he says. Yep.
But in retrospect to what you said in the beginning with that, because I do agree with that. I mean, there are some things some people are not intended to do. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to go out and operate in somebody's liver and hopefully they'll make it, because odds are probably not that they're going to make it. Okay. But if I'm trying to grow tomatoes and I don't do it the first year or the first time, I can do it again. And I can do it again and just get more information, seek out what I need to know. Where are my downfalls? What is it doing? There's ways to figure a lot of this stuff out.
Absolutely. And can I just say that everyone in the UK in 2020, 2021 got blight on their tomatoes. Yeah. A lot of people lost their tomatoes and they lost faith in what they were doing.
Right.
Okay. Don't let things like that stop you the next year, because it's probably not going to be there the next year, or have researched the things that you can do to minimize the possibilities of the blight. Okay. So, you know, there's all sorts of things you can do. That's fine, and not a problem. Not a problem at all, darling. Yeah, and food doesn't need to look like the picture when you feed it to your family. What I used to find is that I had to put the food out in the middle of the table and stand back.
Well, a lot of the pictures.
I just wasn't getting in the middle of that mess. I'm telling you.
A lot of the times, the pictures are doctored up to make them look better.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I mean,
I have yet to go to, as you would say, Macca's and get the burger I seen floating on the TV. That has never happened.
You're not going to get it anyway.
True.
You know, I mean, okay, for example, Tani got himself a Macca's last night. He got a triple cheeseburger, and it was literally like that. It looked like a pack of cards that had been slid over.
Oh, okay. Or it's triple cheeseburger that thick, or something squished down, or even if it's perfect looking theoretically, it still doesn't look like what you see on TV or in a picture. It just doesn't happen.
Exactly. It's not gonna. So don't put yourself through that.
Right.
This isn't Pinterest. This is your life.
That is a good point. I like that.
Okay. Last year I had to lower my tomatoes pretty standards, but they still tasted better than store-bought. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things photographers do. There are a lot. Oh, yeah. No, there was a little bit of that going on as well, because here in the UK, we are not going to be allowed to have peat in our compost. So all the companies are scattering around trying to get as much green waste as they possibly can, and they're not actually checking it first or where it's coming from. They're just getting it from local councils. So people just chuck whatever they want in them. So, you know,
that's not good.
It's not good. No. I preach in my videos. You do, and it's awesome. Okay. So, yeah, when it comes to abilities and stuff like that, don't let it stop you because it doesn't work the first time or the second time or the third time, because it will work.
It's kind of like, I think the analogy I want to use is the pantry conversation we had before. Homesteading's the same way.
Yeah.
Or self-sufficiency is the same way.
Yeah.
It's something that's ever evolving, ever changing, ever formatting, ever fixing, ever growing. And so you just got to keep at it. Sooner or later, you'll find the problem and figure it out. You'll learn how to do something a little different. You might get knowledge on something you didn't have before. And as time goes on, you'll just expand naturally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Something about grass used to make organic fertilizer had something stuff in it. Can't recall the details. I totally get that. I totally get that. We had pesticides in ours, and weed killers.
Ooh.
So you can just imagine what the compost was doing to the seeds that are trying to grow.
Yeah.
Had a terrible case of blossom end rot last year, but we kept going, and wow, so happy we did. Yes.
See,
that's usually just need to get a little bit of calcium in there. Just a little bit of calcium usually helps blossom end rot. Check charity shops and secondhand bookstores. Absolutely. Absolutely. But just make sure that information is also up to date, because that is also ever evolving as well. Okay. So, space.
The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship.
Self-sufficiency. Ta-da! Yes. Okay. So, when you're first starting with urban homesteading, if you need to look at what space you have, not only indoors but outdoors. If you don't have an outdoors because you're on the 15th floor of an apartment building, you can still do homesteading, urban homesteading.
We know a guy.
We know a guy. I happen to
You want to start that one over? That didn't come out right.
words is hard, man. I mean, it's the end of my day here.
I get
Words
it.
is
I
hard.
get it.
But yeah, so I know a guy who lives on the 15th floor in an apartment building. I'm pretty sure it's the 15th floor.
What's up?
But it's pretty high up. On his balcony grows so much food. You've got no idea. I mean,
Let me
he
rephrase
honestly-
that. I don't know a guy. I know of a guy.
Yeah,
You know a guy.
yeah.
Sorry.
So,
I just wanted
yeah.
to clarify that.
That's okay. But he's pretty amazing, and he does his own compost, and he does all sorts of stuff up there. I've never seen anything like it, to be honest, except in China.
Well, and then I
I
also
think in China, in Hong Kong and places like that, they have gardens on their balconies that are like that, edible gardens on their balconies. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go look that out.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
not
a lot
saying
of people grow a lot of
I'm
stuff
not
like
saying
that.
it was a foreign thought process. I mean, especially because of knowing of a guy. I've seen
Yeah.
his videos, but you don't hear or see it that often. Another one that some of us do know is Cassandra becoming a farm girl. She's got a tiny townhouse, and she does stuff all over the place. And it's
Absolutely.
people do it in closets. They do it in their kitchens. They do it in their little 3x3 patio. They do it.
Yes.
My yard's 2 lots. I just can't do anything with it. So mine's up on boxes. Yours is in your little courtyard you have.
Mhm.
You can do you've said it before, on your windowsill.
Yeah, absolutely. No, not that kind of kit seeker. Stop it. Behave yourself. Thank you. Okay. Well, maybe come down there, young man. I think compost make most of the compost.
Yep.
We're growing mushrooms. You can grow mushrooms. Mushrooms are easy. You can do them in your kitchen cupboard.
Yep.
If you got a spare cupboard, just use that. Honestly. Especially like if it's the boiler cupboard.
Right.
Because it's nice and humid. And it's warm, damp space.
I think plotting and planning your space is effective and efficient, but don't limit yourself because of space.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Because the other thing as well is that if you don't have room to grow, look for community gardens. Look for allotment spaces. See if there's someone some groups around the place, they do garden share. So like for older people who've got a garden that they can't tend anymore, they're quite happy for someone to come in. They get a certain amount of the space to grow what they want to in it. And then the person who owns the garden gets a share in the harvest.
There you go.
Which is great.
The other two things I want to throw out at that is don't think of your space has to be horizontal.
No.
You can also create space
vertically
as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The flip side to that is don't let the space become overwhelming though either. You got to keep it reined in. Back to the ability thing.
Yeah.
You gotta make sure it's something you can handle too. Sorry.
Yeah. It's no good planting up a full garden that is like a 1/4 acre block if you've got 15 minutes at the end of your day because you've worked an 18-hour day and you've only got 15 minutes to go and water that thing.
Right.
Because you can't, you've invested in all of the raised beds or the beds or whatever and everything else to go in, but you haven't got any money to put in a watering system. Don't do that. Don't do that. Start small. Go from there, Oh,
I was muted. Sorry. Right.
That's fine. My mother-in-law grows mushrooms from kits. Yeah, I'm going to be looking at doing that this year.
I actually want to try that myself.
Yeah. I also want to get some mushroom spores because I've just got wood chip going down in my paths out the front. And I'd like to have them growing on the edge of the beds between the wood chip and the bed, because I've got no dig beds. So I think it'd be really good for the soil health, number one. Fantastic for the soil health, but I would get free mushrooms. Hello. Yeah.
No complaint.
No. Are we talking about those green stalk planter thingies?
I think so.
Yeah, they're amazing things. You can't get them over here. You just get the cheap stackable ones that you get at like the pound shop.
But the other thing I was thinking of, if you have I think it's a 6 foot, I want to say 6 foot wide space.
Yeah.
You can do a bucket platform that stair steps.
Yeah.
So you could have, I think if I'm right, it's 5 by 6. So you'd have, or 5 by 3, you'd have 15 buckets you could grow plants in that 6 foot space.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's pretty good going.
Yeah.
And then there's fences and garden walls and things like that you can hang things on,
Again, I don't want to hear about somebody going out and spending thousands of dollars and build up 25 acres of what we just talked about, because again, it's got to go back to the ability and what you can afford and all that. But those are options and ideas.
Yeah. Annie wants to grow more fruit trees, have one apple, but love other fruit trees. Now, I've got loads of fruit trees in containers out my back garden. Just clarifying that.
Just throwing that out there.
I'm just saying. Okay, so I've got a peach tree, I've got a plum tree, I've got a cherry, I've got a fig, I've got a goji, which I call a tree because a goji berry. I call it a tree. It's really a shrub, but it does grow to 8 meters long. So to me, that's a tree, right? To me, that's a tree or a viney thing. I've also got an olive, and I've got a bay, but they're all in containers, so you can just pick them up and move them around. So you just do what you can.
I don't say this often, but I am envious.
I also picked them up from the supermarket. I adopted them from the supermarket. They were looking really sad. They had them marked down. I got 3 for £30 instead of £15 each. So and that was during lockdown. So I grabbed them all. The other thing with trees is that you have to remember that you may only get them. They may only be 2 or 3 years old when you get them. It may take up to 5-6 years before you get any proper fruit off them. So be aware of that. It doesn't mean your plant's dead. Doesn't mean it's not going to do it. Just means that it might not be old enough. Okay.
There is a maturity level to deal with.
Yes. Okay. When I visited Moscow in the 70s, all the tower blocks had plants with red flowers on the balconies, bean plants. Yes. When I lived in Malaysia, I would see people scratch between pavings or scratching cracks in the concrete and grow Chinese cabbage on top of the cracks.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yes. Space reference, I think the chat lags a smidgen. It probably does. Who has a spare cabinet? We've got one in Parliament. You can have that if you want. I mean, it's probably only useful for compost, to be honest. I'm just saying. So moving swiftly on. We have Master Gardener program that gives out free food from their garden. That is awesome. You do have space, Mr. Seeker. I've seen your back garden. Thank you, Mr. Garden Tetris. Yes, Garden Tetris. Yes, and only grow what you'll actually eat. The other thing is looking at space for what you have inside your home. That's no good going and canning 1,500 jars of whatever, if you're going to be tripping over them for the next 9 months while you eat through them. I mean, like, seriously, only use, look at the space that you have. Right. Space is really, really important. But yeah. Drill a hole in the bottom of the buckets, yes.
It's a valid point there.
Yes, absolutely. Always, always drill a hole in the bottom of the buckets. We have an olive tree in our front garden, Ollie the olive tree. I haven't named mine. Maybe I should. Okay, so we got to the bottom of
Name
that.
yours Olivier.
Olivier. Oh my gosh. Can I just call it Lawrence?
Okay, that works.
Okay.
Of Arabia.
Yeah. So the next thing we have to look at is research.
Oh, yeah.
And I can never say this enough, but research everything. Don't just take someone's word for it. Okay? I don't care if that person is seen every day or on TV in a gardening segment. Okay? And you've seen them for the last 30 years. Check it out with other people. Check it out with the locals who grow stuff or, or supply stuff and things like that. Because people on TV are talking in general terms. Where we live here, we live in a valley. There is no point in taking on the information for someone who lives in a different part of Yorkshire than we do, because they live on a higher altitude than we do and have a completely different weather pattern. They could be car deep in snow and we'll have a few flutterings because we live in a valley. Okay, so, and that could be like 5 minutes out of town. And I mean 5 minutes walk, not necessarily 5 minutes drive. Right. Okay, that's how close it can get to. So, although we have a microclimate here that has to be considered. So, research everything. Talk to the guys who've been doing it their whole lives, Find where the old guys who grow things.
I was just going to say that. Go look for the old guy that's a block down the road.
Go find the old guys and where they go to drink, and I can absolutely guarantee you they will sit there and talk gardening with you forever. Just put a beer in front of them and start talking.
I think you bring up a valid point because it's local to your microclimates. It's local to your area. You're not getting it off of TV. We ran into that problem so many times. Everybody associates Washington as Seattle. Well, there's so much more to Washington, and we live in the arid half of the state. So everything that applies over there has nothing to do with us over here. It's two different, might as well be two different countries, really. I mean, it's that different. But everybody associates the growing pattern the same, and you can't. You can't do it that way. So it's a valid point. It's a very valid point.
Absolutely. Does that mean I should not be growing Swiss chard if you're not going to eat it, Leanne? I mean, if hubby eats it, crack on. But if you're not going to eat it, I'd grow half as much.
I wouldn't grow it at all, but that's me.
But then again, I grow Swiss chard because I love it. I'm quite happy.
And I don't grow Swiss chard because I can't stand it. So there you go.
And that's fine. And you do that.
I will. Thank you.
You do that.
You crack on and grow as much.
Yeah, you crack on. Yeah, with your potatoes and your, teenage vegetables.
You're the one that's eating the power vegetables because
I am.
Because of geriatric years creeping up on you. I get it and I understand it, but no, I'm joking.
Dude, you're older than I am.
I know. I wasn't going to tell anybody that, but
I'm quite happy to tell everybody you're older than me. You want to bring out the geriatric jokes? Crack on.
Continue on with your discussion, please. Boy, I opened a can of worms there, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Okay. Not sure if available in other countries, but here in Perth, Australia, we get monthly emails from Gardenate, which gives us a list of what we can grow each month in our area. There are things like that pretty much everywhere around the world. There will be someone that does it. Tony,
here comes girl power. I better watch out now.
Okay, so yeah, most countries will have a version of that. The other thing to do is there are a lot of YouTubers who are gardeners out there. If you have one that is in your area, they will probably have a video like that. Oh, it's okay, mate. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good.
You're fine.
It's fine.
Nice to see you.
It is good to see you. So, yeah, and research is really, really important. So whether it's to do with your microclimate or whatever, or, you know, if you're looking at having Dale!
Yeah, I seen it too.
So if you're looking to add animals, you need to do your research. It's no good going to the county fair and seeing, oh, it's a pretty chicken, I'm going to bring it home and call it George. Okay? Don't do that. Okay? Yeah. Do your research first. There are so many things you need to know about, you know, bringing up birds, and, you know, you need to know about the laws and in your area and the bylaws, you know, what your council will allow. If you're renting a place, what your landlord will allow, you know.
That is valid in the U.S. as it is over there too, because you will run into that problem. We have ordinances here in my state. I won't go into detail, but there's specific things you're allowed and things you're not allowed, and you would find them shocking if you knew. So you do need to check it out.
Absolutely. I mean, like, I didn't know about bumblefoot. I've kept chickens. I will tell you now. I have kept chickens.
Is that a Harry Potter thing?
No.
I'm joking.
It's a foot illness on chickens. I never even heard of it until last year. Yep. But I've had chickens for over 20 years. I haven't got them now, but I used to have them. I raised them when my kids were little. I had some when I was living in Devon. I never heard of bumblefoot.
Yeah, I never. Heard of it.
You know, and I'm not someone who doesn't do my research, but I'd never, ever heard of bumblefoot before. And then I hear about it. Right. And it's like, you know, so you are always learning, but just make sure that you know. Yeah, that's it. See? Yes, I love him, hug him, and love him, and name him George. Yes.
Wow.
So, you know, it's, yeah, bumblefoot is bad. But it's fixable as well. We aren't allowed to have chickens, but you might be able to have quail. Now, the thing is about this is, right, okay, so the other thing about urban homesteading and doing your research and stuff like this and looking at your space and all that kind of stuff, so is, what are you going to do with the animals' waste products?
Right.
Okay. You want to bring home half a dozen chickens? That is a lot of waste product that you're going to have to store for 12 months.
You are correct.
Okay. Most urban areas will not allow deep bedding. I will tell you that for nothing. Okay. Over here, they won't allow it. They deep bedding is something that's kept for out rural areas and on farms and stuff like that. It is not done in urban environments because of the smell and the attraction of rats. Okay, that's why. So you have to change them out probably on a weekly basis, sometimes more, you know. So you have to know that you've got enough space to be able to store all that and compost it down, because you can't put it straight on your garden because you'll burn everything. Mm-hmm. Where with quail, you can keep them in a rabbit hutch in a very small environment. You can even keep them in your house. I've had quail in my house before. You know, you only need to clean them out every now and again, and you only need to have space to compost for 3 months. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's actually helps a lot when it comes down to having waste product and stuff like that. Rabbits rabbits, guinea pigs, hamsters, their bedding and their straw and stuff can go straight on the garden. So if you have nowhere to compost, you need to be looking at animals like that if that's what you want to have.
Yep.
You know? So, yeah. So, like I said, do your research first, you know. Hi, Lazarick Homestead. Lazarus. Sorry, Lazarick Homestead. How are you? Welcome in. Hey, Scotty, how you doing, honey? Yes, you are rural, but you still grow in a home garden. And can I just say that this man's garden, if you want to see what's possible on just a normal front and back garden, go follow this guy.
Cuckoo Cottage.
Can I just say, I've never, ever in my life seen anything like it.
I'll look at it.
And it may not be urban, but it's just a little cottage with a little front and back garden.
Yeah.
And it is insanely good.
That's cool.
It's absolutely amazing.
Dad says he gets bumble mouth and can't English properly when he goes live.
Yeah. Daz! Oh, bless your heart. We use cow patties because we have over 100 cows. Yeah, cow patties are great. Oh, hang on. Told me if it's pellets, you can sell it. If it's wet, let it sit. Yes.
Oh, that's a good way to think of it.
That is a really good way of thinking it.
Yeah.
Lazarick said, great topic today. Thank you. Thank you very much. Seeker, I'm going to spank you and not in a fun way. Can tie strings to the legs and let them flap around, take up no ground space at all. I'm waggling my waggly finger at you, young man. Use newspaper for bedding with quail. Yes, you can use newspaper for bedding with quail. Yeah, so yeah, but that's why it's important to do your research. Okay, yes. Guys, you really, really need to do your research because there's a lot more involved than just going out and getting a cute pet. You know, there's a lot more to it. I mean, I even discussed with Tanny the possibility of getting a duck. I won't tell you what he said. I'll get rid my channel.
Yes, it's February 1st.
Can I have a goose? And he said no. And that's the polite version of what he said about me getting a goose. Because I wanted to get one because he won't let me get a dog, you see, because I can't go and walk it. So until I can go and walk it, I'm not allowed to have a dog. But yeah, so I said, can I have a goose then? Because then I've got a guard goose. And, you know, I can set it on anyone who I don't want at the house. And he said, no. And that's the short version.
I like that.
So, you know, but yeah, they tend to let you have geese in urban environments anyway because of the attacking of people thing, you know. So, yeah. But I may have talked him around to getting quail. I might have talked him around to getting quail.
There you go.
Yeah. What's this? You started wrong. One starts with an ostrich. No. I can't go that far. I mean, our fences aren't. I had a friend who had an ostrich farm, and he had 12 feet fences around his property that also had like the barbed wire that goes like that inwards, so that they couldn't jump over, and they were still getting out. So my little 6.5 foot fence is they'll just step over the top of it. Yeah, then a duck seems reasonable. You are right, though. You know, you are right. When my 22-year-old son was about 2 years old, he wanted a fluffy yellow duck that flew and lay eggs. We didn't have the heart to tell him ducklings don't lay eggs.
Uh-oh, you just made Dale's day.
I might be getting quiet. We'll just have to see. I've still got to talk him round, okay? And the way to talk Tanny round is to get the garden sorted out, get the house sorted out. You know.
Say, see, I got all this extra time. We need Quail.
Yeah. Exactly. What Tanny says rhymes with duck. Yeah, that's one of the words he used.
Yeah.
Best security guard at the stables I kept was a goose. Yep. You should never allow the ostrich to have a vaulting horse. When hubby and I first got together, he never told me no. 11 years later now, he has no problem telling me no. Okay, so research, because it's not just about what animal you're getting and what the care is. It's all about all sorts of other things involved as well. And if you're in an urban environment, there's a lot of things to consider. Right. Okay. So, and waste disposal is a big one. Now, the last one, community. Who have you got in your community? Building your community and your network.
Your community should include people you trust, treat people you know that have information to provide you, people you can help as well, because it's reciprocated.
Absolutely. And people who have different skills to you.
Yes. Yeah, it does you no good to go to somebody who sews if you sew, because you can't teach each other anything new.
Well, no, that's the other thing as well. Is that as good as you can get with doing all of the things, there are only so many hours in the day. And there are only so many skills you can get good at, okay? Because there's only so many years there that you can do that for. All right? If you know someone who has a skill that will take you 5-6 years to learn and they've already got it, you want that person in your community. Unless, of course, they're a dick. Then you just keep hold of their number and you pay them when they come around and you need them. But, it's still a resource. I'm just saying.
Yes. Yep. And I think what Dale said is perfect right there. Yeah. But again, the ending of what I said before, you have to be able and willing to reciprocate that, because it's not going to be a good relationship if it's one-sided.
Honey, I think you will find that if you put it out there, you will find a lot more people like you than you think. And they're going to be closer to you than you think. I happen to know quite a few people in Perth and Adelaide, around those areas, that are doing all of this just like you. It's just about finding them. Okay? You can find them. They do exist. And they are good people, They
do exist.
They do exist. They exist. But it's also not just about having people who are productive to the cause. It's about having people that you can rely on, that you can trust, that have got your back.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Again, I'll throw this out. You have to be willing to reciprocate that.
You absolutely have to be willing to reciprocate that. It's very, very important. Okay, so it's all very well you turning around to Fred, Joe, and whoever else and getting them to help you all the time, and George, but George is the chicken, to help you all the time.
Frederica. There.
Yeah, but if you're not willing when they ring you up to go and help them,
right?
That's not going to last very long.
Nope.
So, but you want to make sure you got a good group of people around you, and that does include people who are online. It does include your friends that are overseas. Because not all of your community is going to be in your backyard.
In a geographical location.
No,
very
they're
close.
not.
Yes.
They're not always going to be in your backyard. Hell, I used to live 4 hours from the nearest town.
Yeah.
You know,
Other
and
than
2 hours from my nearest neighbor.
Right.
You can't get much more isolated than that.
Other than Patty, most of our friends don't live anywhere near us.
No. And I did that for 3 years because I had foster kids that needed protecting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we had to know who was coming in and who was coming out.
Right.
So, but, you know, your friends, your community could be all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, they could be all over the place. I've got friends in Turkey. I've got friends in Cyprus. I've got friends in Hong Kong. I've got friends in Vietnam. I've got friends in the States. I've got a family and friends in Australia and New Zealand. Same here in all sorts of parts of the country as well. You know, it's just about knowing who's in your corner.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what's important.
And don't discount someone because they have a disability or a different ability. Okay? Let's call it what it is. It's a different ability. Okay? Don't discount them because of that. You will find that they are some of the best resources that you can ever possibly have. Okay? So, yeah. So there we go. There's working out your priorities when you're first starting out from your urban homestead. It gives you a little bit of stuff to think about. Helps to break things down a little bit as well. Oh, Dale. Sweetie. Thank you. But yeah, so there we go. That was episode 3. Next week, I'm not telling you what we're doing next week yet. You're going to have to wait and find out. No.
You're funny.
We might start looking at skills. I mean, like we did go through what skills my top 10 skill set for doing urban homesteading would be. Okay, so we might go into a little bit of depth on each of one of those, starting with one of them. But you're going to have to come and find out next week. Na. Oh, hey, Nana. Hey, honey. How are you? How you doing, darling? We're just about to wrap up. I think. Okay.
You're funny.
So if you want to see the other episodes of this series, there is a playlist. So just pop over to my channel, and you will find the urban homesteading playlist there. And you can catch up on what we've already done. So yeah, but every week on a Friday at this time, we're going to be doing another win, and we will see what other guests we can have, and such, and hopefully that will be a lot more fun than me just sitting here talking to you.
Well, thank you for having me on, and I hope I helped. So.
Oh, thank you for being here. Actually, you helped amazingly well, awesely. Okay. Thank you. Kept me on track. It was chat. They were misleading me.
That's funny.
It'd be great to see you again, Lazarick Homestead. That would be awesome. I will see you guys later on. Have an awesome day. Oh, before we go, tonight, for those of you in the States, tonight, late night with Kettle Kitchen. This guy. Okay, I'm gonna be there, and it's like 5 o'clock in the morning for those of you who are in the UK. And it's what time for you guys?
9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, midnight Eastern Standard Time, and 5 a.m.
GMT.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Take it carefully, guys. Stay safe. Love you guys heaps. It's a late one, Lazarek. It's all good. See you guys later. Bye.